All right. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Open Market Prep. I hope you're having an amazing morning. Hopefully, you guys had an incredible day yesterday. Good morning, Peter, if you're there. Can't see your camera. We'll give him a few minutes to get rocking and rolling here. All right, guys. Good morning. Good morning. Raf Silla says, Good morning, Carlos and Black Screen. Yes. All right, guys, let's get to it. We'll wait for Peter to fire it up. Let's look at the
I'm,
stuff
I'm
we
here.
had on. Oh, there it is, Peter. Good morning, my friend. How you doing today?
Good morning. Nice. Anyways, hey, I'm doing great. Hopefully, you're doing good as well.
I don't know if to believe you or not on that one, but
No, it's all good. I always have to connect like two or three times for it to work, and I forgot to do that. I just logged in once, and I'm like, oh, I'm all good to go. And
yeah,
then you
yeah.
you started and realized there's a black square where my pretty face should have been. So here I am.
We're glad to have your pretty face on camera, Peter. Excellent. Um,
Thanks.
all right, friends, let's get to our watch list from yesterday. Let's look at some of the stuff that we had on deck. It was for me, for the way I trade, a very brutal type day. It was just not a lot that was trading clean or setting up nicely for me. We'll start with XBEV here, which let's go over here. Yesterday's action. Here it is. Man, this was just for me, for the way I trade again. This is not pretty at all. Very, very choppy. The pre-market was horrible. It has some okay news that possibly could have done something, but nothing happened at the market open. I mean, it was just extremely choppy. Every candle overlapping the previous candle. You had one run here from the low of the day towards 11:45, but again, it was very tough to time a move like that when everything before that has been nothing but up and down chop, right? So when you see this here, very tough to trust a trade that's going to actually break out as 11:18. But if you did catch that, that would have been probably the best move this thing had all day. I mean, all day. That's just probably the biggest move that it had in it. So not so fun there. Baba had a nice pop, and then it lost it here, had a drop all the way down. Again, just every very wiki price action across the board. So this was not great neither. Here is Roblox, also had a tough time. Had the one big drop, and I'm surprised we didn't get anything else out of Roblox after such a big drop here. We just went sideways. We did lose this level here, which is now the previous day close. Came back to it again, but really no big moves on it, even based on this drop, right? Just not anything crazy. Here's Coin. Coin actually, compared to what we just saw, probably had the best price action yesterday so far. I know
Yeah.
Tesla's coming up and they did very well, but Coin, Peter, probably one of the better traders in our list yesterday.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned coin because I was going to mention it. Yeah, it had a great trading day yesterday. I had a good my strategy, the mountain pass and inverse mountain pass, just before 11 o'clock set up, and it actually was a good trade. So yeah, I was surprised. I mentioned it yesterday, and I thought, well, it's been moving sort of well. Yesterday proved it when, like you showed, so much just went sideways. It was really
Yeah.
quite aggravating.
Yeah,
But
it really was, man. It was frustrating. It was just nothing. There was some
and
potential there, but also bad.
and that's one of the challenges of trading, of course. It's finding the right stock to trade. You're not always going to watch the right thing, and that's why we make the
Yeah.
watch lists in the morning, right? So we can at least give you some ideas, some things to maybe look at over the course of the day. Because the thing you start watching may not be the thing that moves. Roblox was on my list, and I was watching it, and you
Yeah.
sort of realize, okay, this is not doing anything. I need to change horses, right? I need to find something different to trade. So it's why it's always good to stay active during the day, keep watching different stocks and different offerings because you never know what's going to move.
Yeah. Could not agree with you more. And the thing about it that was weird yesterday is that I didn't get chopped around because there was just nothing. Like there was nothing that said, hey, this looks good, take it. And then I got chopped. It was like that doesn't look good at all. I'm not gonna take it. So there was nothing that faked me out, but it was just there was nothing, guys, that looked decent. Here is Google again, very extended at the start. Then the previous candle, this really turns me off when I can't when a stock does this. Look at the drop it has there all the way down to the VWAP. It was just very messy. And I'm not a huge fan of the way Google trades, so I kind of stay away from that one. Here was Microsoft. Microsoft actually was okay. It gave you a nice breakdown from the low of the day there. Unfortunately, I wasn't watching this setup with everything else I had, but this was a decent compared to everything else. And of course, Tesla took a bit to give you something really nice here, right? Unless you had a good entry at the VWAP here, you would have been stopped out if you try to get in here, because just look at the wicks going all the way down to the VWAP and slightly below that. But man, the nice rejection of 189, I mean, sorry, 189, yeah, 189.75. And just look at the drop here. Just a beautiful, beautiful drop all the way down to 182.50 or so. So Tesla traded very well, did find a base, also gave you another move to the VWAP, and then another breakout out of the VWAP all the way almost to where it opened up for the day. So a better trader out of many.
And that's another good point. Not all the moves happen right at the open. Tesla's a good
Yeah.
example of that, and AMD, which most of you know, I watch all day. I found it very difficult to trade at the morning. It was choppy. I mean, look at those candles, right? Not much going on at the open that you could discern. But then, if you're patient, you can just wait for the reversal. AMD actually set up great reversal signals for me just after 12:30. You can see it there. The 1 minute chart's even clearer, but even on the 5, you can see how it sort of bottomed here, retested that bottom, and then look, it moved, most of the way back. So you could take advantage of that reversal move again if you're patient and you have a strategy to play it. So it's I think this type of market, you've got to make sure that you're not just trying to live off that open, because some days it might be great, some days it can be very, very challenging.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's take a look, guys, on what's happening over here in our gap up list and gap down. So we got a couple of things here. Bitcoin making some noise this morning, leading the gap up list. Mara, Riot, and Coin all here with some decent volume. So we'll dive into those. Nvidia, Baba, Bank of America with earnings this morning. They're up nicely. I think a lot of their move was kind of done when JP Morgan crushed it last week. So they're up slightly, but they did move with some sympathy. So, but they're still up another 2%. So very nice. All banks coming in, major banks at least, coming in nicely with some good earnings here. DKNG, and then towards the bottom, we do have some other ones. XBEF taking another down 2.7 here. So we'll see what's happening there on XBEF. All right, so that is our list, my friends. Speaking of the overall market, let's take a look at what's happening here for today and this week.
Yeah. So, well, yesterday I mentioned that after the close, we were going to have some of the China growth numbers, and those came out. And if you go to tradingterminal.com, for example, you can find that. You just go in there and look at the economic data for last night, and you can sort of see the results, and very mixed results coming in China. So, did not hit the massive growth that people were expecting. I mean, there was growth in some sectors and shrinkage in unemployment, for example, in China, which I assume is reliable. Maybe I don't want to be too conspiracy theorist, but I don't know. We'll assume. But as you can see, some of the growth in especially production capacity wasn't as high as expected. So it's not that there wasn't growth; it just wasn't as high as expected. So so the numbers were a little bit mixed, which is why we're seeing a quieter response from China than we might have anticipated. That being said, overall the markets are looking pretty green. We've got green across the globe, and certainly green in earnings this morning. We're going to get into that in just a few minutes. In terms of other notices, I guess this morning should have come out. In fact, I haven't seen the numbers, so and what's happening, my computer is taking a moment on me. But if anybody has the numbers of the housing starts, not something that normally moves the market too much. In fact, I don't see the market reacting much at all in the last couple of minutes since those numbers came out at 8:30. And then the only other news of note is that Bowman is speaking, as federal governor Bowman is speaking at 1, but again, not expected to have much of a market impact. So today, it's not going to be about the economic news. It's going to be about, I think, earnings on specific companies and sectors. And we'll talk about those, like I said, in a moment.
All right, excellent, Peter. All right, let's go through this gap up list and gap down and see what we can find here. I'm gonna go ahead and Control A and remove our list from yesterday on Dash Trader Pro, and let's dive into our gap up list. All right, so we have Mara, we have Coin, and we have Riot leading the way here this morning. Peter, what's the latest and greatest on this sector today?
So it is actually sector news generally, and specifically the news was came out from Coin, but it affects the sector. So specifically, Coin was saying they're looking heavily at moving operations offshore and focusing most of their investment offshore. This is offshore of, by the way, of the U.S. and the U.K., where a lot of their user base is, because that's where the money flow is coming from. But they're looking to move their operations offshore in light of the fact that there's so little regulation that's been identified in those countries, meaning that basically what they're left to is restrictions, right? Like if you've got a major account or you're doing trading in crypto, as we know, they've shut it down under the legitimate reasons of improper money laundering and handling, but they also have no ability to actually control and determine what's legal and what's illegal money transactions like they do with fiat currencies. So, because of that, Coin saying, all right, we're going to protect ourselves and start moving operations and focus offshore. So, I think that news is seen as good for the sector because it's going to give them a bigger opportunity to grow without the restrictions. You know, whether that is good for the global macroeconomic environment, I don't know. But anyway, it's not for us to decide. What we can say is that's what's causing all of these related stocks to rise.
All right, so we're seeing that there. My favorite out of all of these is going to be Coin, but let's look at Rye because I think they all have decent volume this morning. Rye 687. If we look at Coin, uh, not much volume, but I do like their daily, and they always seem to trade much cleaner, like they did yesterday. Yesterday was actually a pretty clean day for them, so I am gonna put Coin on my list this morning. All right, and that makes up a big chunk of our list. Next, we have a good time favorite of ours is Nvidia, and Nvidia here we are up 2.6. What's the news on Nvidia, Peter? Do we have anything going on? Just I don't see any other tech companies blowing up like this right now.
No, I don't really have much on Nvidia. I don't know if this is just a continued move because of the changes in the semiconductor sector. If you remember, Samsung was announcing that they were making some changes, which is expected to benefit others. But yeah, I mean, they got an upgrade, but upgrades don't normally, especially on a stock the size of Nvidia, cause a huge move.
Yeah, yeah. So they're spiking here, guys. 2.6, good volume, 713,000 shares traded so far. And again, the only a semi type company moving, tech company moving like that. So definitely like Nvidia, and we know how well they can trade. And if I look at here at Nvidia, we are the daily. We're looking nice. Also, we are up against some areas of resistance in the last couple of days here. So Tesla's good. I like that one. Let's take a look at what else
I'm
we have.
hesitant to call that out again because I think last time I did back on April the 4th, you could see what happened when I said, "Oh, it looks like we're going to break out to the top side," and then we fell, and we still haven't made it through that level. So
Okay.
I'll
All
just
right.
leave it and we'll see what
Yeah.
happens.
Yeah. We'll see. All right, so we'll add Tesla on there. I'm sorry, excuse me, Nvidia. Next on the list, we have Baba. Let's take a look at Baba this morning. Very similar stuff to yesterday, right? They had a slight gap up. Didn't do all that much. They're very choppy. Today they're up 2.3. I do like the volume, much better than what we had yesterday. So 746,000 shares traded is good for us there. Let's go ahead and add this one to a secondary for now. I do like the gap up on this one though. Again, this can trade very well when it's gapping up or down away from some of the levels we're seeing there. So possible for now. I'll come back and see if we can move this up. We also have DKNG on our list. So DKNG this morning, they are up 2.3. Not a whole lot of volume on DKNG. So not sure what's driving this slight gap up this morning, but the volume is definitely not there for DKNG today. So maybe we'll keep it off the list unless there's anything happening with them here.
I don't
Um,
know if it's yeah. I don't have any specific news on DraftKings. But in the sector, interestingly, there's a company that's supposed to be going to IPO today, called the ticker symbol is going to be TCJH, but it's a top. What is it called? King Win. Top King Win. Anyways,
hmm.
it's they anyways, they market themselves as a capital services company, but they're an betting company out of China. And if they IPO, I don't know, like that presumably would be competition, but I don't know their business model and whether they compete in the same market or not. I'm just wondering if that prospect has got some attention on DraftKings. But as you said, the volume, like the volume is marginal, right? It barely made it onto our list. So,
Yeah, yeah. It's
anyways, I'll let you all know in the room, of course, if and when that thing actually opens.
all right. I'll be on the lookout for that. Last on the gap up list is going to be GFI, which we've seen on our list plenty of times, and I do not like the way this trades at all. For intraday trading, I think it's a tough one. Maybe swing trading if you are aware what's going on with that overall sector. But again, for day trading, I just stay away from this one. So I'm going to do the same today. All right, let's take a look at what's gapping down this morning. WINT. This is Windtree Therapeutics, and they are man, they had a crazy day yesterday, going from 471 all the way up to 1850. Today they're dropping down a little bit. The fun could be over on this, as we've seen in the past. It doesn't stick to their move to the upside, right? Quickly sells down the
Yeah.
following day, and you can see that there. And a volume extremely light, hard to borrow. Again, just a no all around for this one. And what's the
Yeah,
float on this
very
thing?
low float
Yeah.
biotech. Yeah, they had their jump up yesterday because of the news on one of their treatments. This is sort of a second day, sort of fallback type play. So yeah, be leery of it. Under a million, yeah, I see under a million shares in the float. So
Yeah, yeah. So not good. We'll skip on this. GS, I know they had earnings this morning, and interesting, they're down 3.7. So what's going
yeah,
on with these guys?
well, you can see they started the morning up and then had a big drop this morning once a few more investors came in and volume came in. Look, they beat their numbers like every other bank, but they didn't smash it as expected. They exceeded what they said they were going to do, but their actual earnings were down quarter over quarter. So I think that's it's sort of like it's a relative disappointment. If they'd produced these earnings when all the other banks were down, right, they'd probably be sailing higher. But because everyone else smashed the doors off of it, they are going down instead of going up. That being said, Goldman Sachs actually does have some interesting news in the background in that they're getting a little bit of press out of the deal that they have with Apple. Apple has launched a high interest savings account that is backed by Goldman Sachs. This high yield savings, it's about 4%, 4.15% specifically, they're saying is what is going to be offering it. So interesting partnership between Apple and Goldman. Apple, of course, this is a different business for them. They're not normally into savings and banking, but that's why they've partnered with Goldman. And Goldman is not normally in retail savings, right? They've tried it before and failed. They have sort of a different model, but it's sort of an opportunity for both of them to expand into different markets. Obviously, Apple's looking to expand their portfolio as they continue to, do more and look for other revenue sources. And Goldman is trying to, break back into a sector that they had not done so well in the past. So we'll see if anything comes to that. It doesn't yield short-term trading opportunities, but know that that's happening because over the long term, that would be an interesting thing to watch.
Yeah, yeah. And just since you mentioned Apple, I'm looking at Apple here. Their daily does look good. I mean, they don't got great volume, but their daily does look really nice here. I think worth adding on our list today. I am going to add Goldman Sachs, by the way. I think their volume and their movement today looks really good. Typically, these guys don't trade very well, but I like this reaction we're getting here in the pre-market. So today we might get something out of this. Look out for the spread on this. Again, it's not going to be an AMD, Apple, Nvidia type spread. It is going to be a little wider. But for a $300 stock like this one, it's not too bad. We're seeing just a couple of cents right now. But just be on the lookout on that. Make sure it's not, going into a dollar 50 when the market opens. Um, all right, we are set, guys. That is our gap up and down list. Oh, we forgot one more. XPEF. Let's take a look at this one. This is it's down 2.1. Very bad pre-market activity on this one. So I'm not seeing anything good there.
Yeah,
Yeah.
You can see most of this gap down happened just like right as the market sort of opened at 4:30, and then it's
Yeah.
largely been flat since then. There was some news. So earlier today or overnight, depending how you want to look at it, the Shanghai Auto Show was happening. And remember yesterday they gapped up and then moved slightly higher on the news that they were looking to sort of rebuild their manufacturing platforms. They're going to get much more efficient in the way they develop it. That's going to mean
Hmm.
a new car-based platform, and they launched at that Shanghai Auto Show their new model, the first one that's going to be built off of this new manufacturing platform. Sometimes, car companies, they try too hard in their naming. You know how like they go like the Premier Ultra Extra model. Anyways,
Yeah. Yeah.
they
Yeah.
debuted their G6 Ultra Smart Coupe SUV. Like it seems like they just
Jeez,
put a lot of
man.
auto words together and
Yeah.
said that sounds cool. We're going to call it that. But anyways, it's a pretty nondescript SUV. It looks sort of like the Tesla SUV, like a lot of them do. So, but they have a big long name on it. But so I don't know whether this is an indication that the market doesn't like that car. I think more likely it's just a little bit of pullback after the big gap up yesterday.
All right, so there you have it. I'm not liking it for my list today, guys. So I'm going to keep this one off. If it gets better, if it hits the scanners, we can take advantage of it. But for the most part, not looking great. Um, a great question here by our YouTube member. Quick question: if a company files for Chapter 11, does the ticker go to zero and the company no longer trades? It depends, man. Peter, you might know this better than I do. It depends on the type of filing they're doing and how they're gonna treat their assets. What's the answer to that, if any?
Yeah, a company will never go to zero on the market. They'll get delisted before they get that far. If they drop significantly, as soon as they get below $5, they usually go on a high watch list. And if it's clearly trending downwards, they often get moved to, as Whale is saying, an over the counter type stock, or they get taken off the major exchange, or they will just halt it with the anticipation of a restructuring, and which may or may not ever happen, right? We saw that happen with Luckin Coffee, if you remember, right? It
Oh
was just
yeah,
dropping,
yeah.
dropping, and then it halted trading one day and then just never reopened. So what'll happen is after a period of time, if you're long in a stock like that, more or less you lose your money. If you're short, more or less you get to keep all the money. But I say more or less because it depends on the way they unwind the company, that you could end up having a reconciliation where you get some cents on the dollar back. But for the most part, it doesn't happen. So BBBY, if that's what you're looking at, it's a good example, right? It won't go to zero, but like there's ones that what you can help me. There's a drink company. I don't think it's Monster Drink. There's something else where it went down and it just held at like 2 cents for like 3 years or something. So um, anyways, it'll just go and it'll stay at a low level for a very very long period of time, which is
Yeah.
usually what happens with North American offerings.
Yeah. So thank you for that, Peter. All right, guys, let's see what you guys like this morning. Let's start with our chat. I see Bank of America was thrown out very early. Obviously, they do have earnings today, and they are up 1.5, 5.6 million shares trade. Didn't we look at the gap up list on this? Oh, it fell off the gap up list because they're under 2%, but they were here very early on. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
So,
My gap list changed a lot because I was looking
mhm,
at everything around 7:30, and I had almost looked
right.
like a completely different list. But
Yeah.
anyways, Bank of America was on it. They, like most of the major banks, blew the doors off. Had fantastic numbers, up 20+% on their numbers today. Well, around 20%. I mean, 50% on revenue. Like this is, to me, this just seems crazy. Their projected revenue is 25 million. Their actual revenue was 25 billion. Their actual was 40 billion. That's a 58% surprise and a 65 almost percent growth over the last quarter. I mean, how do you? Anyways, how does that even happen? Like,
Uh,
that's ridiculous. Well,
yeah. Yeah.
interestingly, though, behind those numbers, they actually said that their deposits were down by over $20 billion in the quarter. That's actually pretty big. So
Hmm.
less money on deposit, but they had record revenue. Well, clearly they also said that came from the rise in the interest rates, which let's face it, comes from the fact that they are not returning those interest rates to their retail customers. And if you're investing in a bank account, you're still only making what, 0.5%, maybe, if you're lucky, and interest
Yeah.
rates have gone up so much. So where's the difference going? Well, the difference clearly is going into the bank's pockets, and we can see it in the profits here. So some great numbers, but long term, there is some concern that with the banking deposits being down, right, they're completely relying on these interest rates to deliver a lot of these good numbers. So if the interest rates either just stagnate, right, stay where they are, or fall, there's going to be some challenges in the banking sector.
Yeah, yeah. Another question here. We do have a little bit of time. Do I think Bank of America is trying to close the drop created by the crisis? You know what? It's clearly this was not a banking crisis at all. This was a couple of
No.
banks that failed at managing their their business properly, or not even fail. Right? There's different type of business models. These regional banks, their business models doesn't do well when you have high interest rates like this, right? Think about the loans that they're giving out. You know, there's more information coming out now. Some of the loans that they were doing were very, very risky. They were very high incentive loans, right? So for example, if you own a business, I don't know, let's take Roku. I think Roku was one of the businesses that was in here. Don't quote me on the name. You know, if you're owner of Roku, they'll say, hey, listen, put your business account here, and on your personal account, we'll give you all these crazy benefits, right? Which is legal. There's nothing wrong with doing that, right? But they did a lot of that, and then that kind of, in a this type of economy where we're in, where the interest rate was so high,
Mhm.
those type of business model didn't do so well, right? Not for a long extended period of time. Bank of America is not doing that for anybody, right? So at least if they did, they're doing it. J.P. Morgan, and they're doing it at a very cautious pace. And Jamie Dimon from J.P. Morgan has been very vocal about, they went to cash very early on, so they knew this was going to be an issue, right? The regional banks just did not follow suit, and again, they're paying the price. So, not a banking crisis. If you hear the news, you think that the banks are falling apart. The numbers are showing this was not a banking crisis issue at all.
Clearly shows that's not the case.
Not the case at all. Yeah, yeah. Um,
No, I got a whole bunch that aren't on our
yeah. Let's
list
go. Let's go
because
through
we didn't
those.
make it. So let's list it so everybody knows what's happening out there, because we do have a number of earnings. Starting with Johnson and Johnson, they smashed the doors on their numbers as well. Had some very good numbers, top and bottom line. Raised their guidance on the strength of one of their cancer drugs, which I think is going to do very well for them. So very positive news out of Johnson and Johnson if you're looking to trade them. Lockheed Martin is another one that had earnings that beat their numbers. They, some people like to invest here, some people don't, but their numbers were on the strength of F-35 sales, some of which were to Canada, Black Hawk helicopter sales to Australia, and apparently a lot of missiles. So
What ticker was that
some
one,
of the
Peter?
crises. Sorry,
What ticker was that
Lockheed
one?
Martin, LMT. So yeah,
Yeah.
if you're trading or investing in this, you know that you're playing defense sector. That's Lockheed Martin's bread and butter. So on the side, they do shuttles, but it's more about defense. That's where they make their money. So, they had some good numbers. Ericsson, ERIC, not a good trader on the North American market. It is a dual traded stock. Keep that in mind. But they really beat their numbers. You don't see much volume. ERIC would
I
be the
see. Yeah.
ticker on that. Interesting here in Ericsson, just from a global news perspective, very, very strong numbers out of India. I think their numbers almost grew fivefold in India, but they're seeing a drop in some of the established markets like North America and the UK. So Ericsson had good numbers overall, but it seems to be moving out of established markets into high growth markets. And the last but not least I'll mention is Snap. We don't often talk about Snapchat because it's one that we sort of love to hate. So, you always think it's going to trade well, and then it disappoints time and again. But they were on the Gappers list earlier this morning. I noticed that they've fallen off here. Really, it's just sort of some secondary news. Snapchat's been, they started trading in 2017, if you can believe it. But at the time when they went public, they became the poster child for a new style of stock offering where their IPO had only non-voting shares because the owners of Snapchat wanted to keep full control. Didn't really pan out well for them because they basically got blackballed as a stock and were said that they were never going to be allowed to be part of the indices, for example. Which, you're not going to invest heavily long term if you're deep pocketed, if you don't even have that opportunity to move to that's sort of the elite circle, right? When you become part of the index. But anyways, yesterday afternoon there was some news that came out of one of the indices, this S&P Dow Jones, that said they're actually going to release or lighten some of the restrictions that would prevent companies like Snap from being part of the index. Now, that doesn't mean that they're going to become part of the index. It's just the restrictions were eased that they could potentially at some point in the future. So I was seeing Snapchat move early on the basis of that news. But again, it doesn't mean anything direct to the company, but indirectly, it sort of hints that there may be good things in the future. So I don't know whether they're going to get volume once we hear the opening bell. But if you're interested, you may want to keep an eye on it. And that's what I've got.
All right, excellent. J&J, we did look at Rosti. We were just talking about that. That's probably the first one that Peter mentioned on there with earnings. Obviously, Bank of America is on my list here. They got some really good volume, 6.5 million, up 3%. Not a great trader, but again, today with this earnings report, they might do well. We saw JP Morgan and others do very well last week. So let's take a look at Apple. Apple, actually, I have on my list. It looks very good. I like the daily on it as well. So I think there's some opportunities there on it. AMD from Pino. Let's see what's going on with AMD. It's pretty quiet. I'm going with NVIDIA today. NVIDIA seems to have them. Oh, look at this drop at NVIDIA. What's going on with it's not a market drop, but NVIDIA taking a very steep dive there. So interesting. I like NVIDIA this morning. Is that reflected on AMD? AMD as well. All right, so maybe I'll add AMD because there seems to be something going on, at least in the tech sector or maybe semiconductors. But we'll see. I'll add AMD as well. We're getting some kind of action happening here.
If you want one last one, by the way, I should have mentioned just for
Sure.
fun, because this is one that Carlos call up AMST, and you can say no to that one right away.
Oh yeah, no,
But
no. Absolutely.
it's a very low float, less than 2 million shares in the float. AmSite Inc. It's a software company, but they came out with news that they were developing their AI narration next generation platform, right? So look, AI. But what was interesting to me was that it managed to make our gappers list early on, and I was trying to figure out why. Look at the daily chart. Look how much movement we had on this. So basically, it just I noticed that the ATR is 75 cents on what was a $3 stock, $4 in the last 2 or 3 days. It was just enough to put it on our list with the 100,000 shares when it was up over, gapping over 2%, that it was sort of in there early on today, which I thought was fascinating. That every once in a while you get these crazy things that move. And look, you can see how it went up to $9 one day back in February. I mean, the volume seems to have gone away, so I don't think it's going to do anything today. But hey, if you want to play anything AI, here's another one for you.
Yeah. Oh man, I'm gonna leave this one alone, guys. This is just brutal. All right, let's see what else we have, guys, before we go to announcements. I think we cover everything, right? NVIDIA, it's getting man, what is happening?
Yeah, we saw some volume come in right at 9 o'clock on a number of the semis. AMD, NVIDIA, those are the big two that are dropping on volume so far. Well, they're the only two with volume pre-market, but doesn't mean much. Keep in mind we're talking relative volume, right? Like maybe 70, 80,000 shares on AMD. And, after the market's open, they're trading, a couple 100,000 a minute. So,
yeah. It just looks aggressive on NVIDIA. Like if there's some news that came out, right? This looks like there's news or some kind of event that might be happening that we might not be aware of yet, but we'll figure it out. Guys, let's head over to community events and announcements. We'll come back and fine tune this list. What did I do here? Did I hit the wrong button? No. Okay, cool.
It does look aggressive on NVIDIA. Big drop.
It does. It looks very aggressive and very quick. like if there is something out, but I'm not seeing anything. I'm not seeing anything
No,
on neither of
it's
these.
really just retracing the growth it had pre-market, right? It's still up, almost
Yeah,
$4
yeah,
from where it closed yesterday. So just keep that in mind, right? That's
yeah.
anyways. Hey, means that it's looking good to sit in our list for today.
It
But yeah,
sure
let's look
is.
at our community events and announcements since we're about 9:05 here. Last night we had the onboarding session with Carlos, so thank you, Carlos, as always, for doing that and welcoming all of our new members through that format. Tonight we've got our strategy and trade book webinar, and tonight it's going to be Andrew that's going to be doing his last webinar ever. No, I'm kidding.
Oh,
Andrew's been
jeez.
talking in the room like he's going away forever
I
because
know.
I think he's a little anxious, and reasonably so, to head to Everest. He posted in his blog, if you saw that, in his newsletter that he goes out there. I've sent it to him in the past. This statement that says every dead body on Mount Everest was once a highly motivated person. So maybe just relax. But so I think he's feeling a little anxious nowadays. It's much safer than it ever used to be, but there's always a risk, right? And let's face it, you're going to a high elevation where sepsis is a real issue, and yeah, but I'm sure he'll be fine. He's taking the precautions and he's got all the safety equipment and gear, so he'll be back with us. But anyways, his last webinar before he goes to Everest and comes back triumphant will be happening tonight. That's at 8:00. He's going to be talking about his opening range breakout that he trades with us live every morning that he's here. So, join us for that at 8:00 in the webinar room. Hopefully, you will be able to see that live with us. By the way, I'll just mention quickly here that Andrew is also offering to all our members a little bit of good luck celebration before he heads to Everest Thursday after the close. So that's only for our members. We'll let them know in the room. But if you wanted to join us for a virtual drink, we'll be doing an online group session after the market close at 4:00. So hopefully you'll be able to join us for that. Details to come. Next week on our trade books, Eamon's going to be doing his How to Trade the Trend. Eamon's another one of our fantastic traders that if you think I talk fast, wait till you hear Eamon. But he's got so much knowledge. He's just trying to share it with us. So that'll be Tuesday, the 25th of April, again at 8:00. Wednesdays are all about psychology. And this Wednesday, Mike's going to be talking about, so that's tomorrow night, how to increase your trading discipline. And next week, Randy Howell is going to be with us to talk about how to control your emotions. So both of those are at 8:00. Tomorrow, Wednesday the 19th, and then next Wednesday, April the 26th. And Alan D in the room is asking, can we take out insurance? And Andrew, I was asking for him to give me the deed to Bear Bull Traders so I could keep it going. But I think Artie's got that. So one way or the other, don't worry. We'll still be here. He's coming back. I've told him he's not allowed to do anything too risky. So we've got him. We've got this big bubble wrap suit that we've got him in. He'll be fine. Thursdays are all about our mentorship, and then this Thursday, as always, we'll be having John and Thor doing their sessions at 11 and 8 respectively. Hopefully you will be able to join us for those. And as we say every day, Trading Terminal is a great place to go for information. I was watching it last night and this morning to get the news on the Chinese economic data, for example, right? And then, of course, earnings this morning. So go there to get all of your data, and you can actually use it to trade. Now, we don't have live trading, but if you wanted to trade in a simulator, or you wanted to use the replay feature, use those. The replay allows you to get sort of any stock on any day and play it forward, backward, well, not backward, but forward, slow motion, speed it up, right? It really allows you to sort of test strategies and test them out. If you wanted to watch the markets live, try our simulator. It's completely free. You can literally watch the markets at the exact time the markets are happening, and you can take trades against it. So it's a good free platform for you to test out, let alone all the scanners and other stuff that we have there. If you wanted to join us in the room, we'd be happy to welcome you. We've got a number of platforms that you can use, or categories. Our intro education center was $39 yesterday. Today, we're bringing back, it looks like, is that right? That's accurate, Carlos? The pre-market 24 code?
That's accurate. I tried it myself.
All right. Look at that. So, for any of you that are here with us on the pre-market show, use the code PREMARKET24 and you get that intro, which gives you access to both our chat rooms, by the way. The stock chat room and equities, which goes every day. And then the options chat room, which is live Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So not today, but yesterday and tomorrow, it will be there as well as Friday. So if you want to take advantage of those, use the code PREMARKET24 and get that intro, plus access to some of the courses in our education center. And then if you wanted to join us, you can use the basic or elite monthly billing packages. And the best deal always is the elite annual. Hopefully, you'll use one of those, and we'll see you in the room sometime soon.
All right, excellent. Thank you, Peter. All right, folks, let's get through this gappers list that we have here. I mean, excuse me, our watch list. So far, I have Coin on deck. I have Nvidia. I do have, which again, I was looking for news on Nvidia. I don't find anything major on it, so I'm not sure what's causing this. Just interesting drop. Goldman Sachs is on here today, guys. I think this will be a good one. Nice drop, 3.4, some good volume. We have Apple. I like the daily on that one, and we also have AMD and some possible ones. We have Baba on here, and I do have Bank of America with a nice little pop here of 2%, 7 million shares traded. So quite the volume there for Bank of America. I just think that on this one, there's so much baked in from what we did last week with JP Morgan and some other banks reporting that we might not see a crazy run on this unless we see an overall market pop, right? As we've seen in the SPY here, the SPY is back at these areas where we were before. And again, just a conversation about is are we is the bear market over, right? Are shorts going to be getting squeezed here anytime soon? So interesting stuff happening there. Coin, let's start there. So right now, I had a great trading day yesterday, probably one of the best tickers we had on the list. I'm stuck between the highs and lows of the last two trading days. We do have a high of the pre-market here on I'm sorry, a high of 72, an area of resistance that is marked already there for you. Our high of the pre-market slightly below that at 70 34, and then below that you do have the previous day close, by the way. Look how great that level is. That level has been tested quite a bit here over the last couple of months, really. Above 72 on our daily gets a little bit messy, but we do have an area with a lot of touches around 73.27. Worth marking that down towards the top. And then towards the bottom, you're pretty much stuck between the highs and lows of the last two trading days. Do not need to add anything else. There is here though, if you I'm looking at it now, right here around maybe 65. If you look at 65, there's a lot of touches, a lot of levels slamming into that. So you might as well mark that down just in case you do drop below the previous day close. All right, let's head over to Nvidia this morning. So Nvidia right now, high of the pre-market is 277. We're slamming against that, but got a nice drop here all the way down to the new low of the pre no sorry low of the pre-market, almost 270, 220. And then outside of that, if you look at the bigger picture on the daily, it's just been stuck in this range, right? Which is a nice range, don't get me wrong. It's a big range. If you're getting an order that's moving $7, right? That is pretty significant. That's the previous day close to about the high of the pre-market today. So not a bad range at all, and it's bigger than that if you look below the previous day close. This range is going down all the way to almost 265-ish, right? 264, 90 there. So pretty nice stuff. I like the activity. I like the daily on this one. Let's get something towards the top in case we go back up to 277. In case we shoot back up to the high of the pre-market, let's get something above that. That will be very nice, clean and clear. 282.02. Great level there on the daily for Nvidia. Let's look at GS. So GS earnings today not doing so hot. Getting not destroyed, but a nice little drop here, 3%, 636,000. Low of the pre-market, 326. So we got a nice little base there. That also is being confirmed on your daily. You see a lot of areas using that as support and resistance, so that's good. And then below that on our daily, we do see a very nice level on 320, a very good level there as well. And then towards the top, you got plenty going on here, guys. Highs and lows for the last two trading days. A lot happening there. High of the pre-market is all the way at 347. So again, we're ways from that. But here, where the price action is now, you are seeing a couple of days, not many, about two or three on that 330, 329.26. You are seeing a little bit of some action there. And this morning, we're somewhat respecting this here in the pre-market. You can see a couple of times we used that as support, a little bit of resistance here and here, and then we're kind of struggling to, get above that now. Let's see if we're able to get away from that. So good level to have. I think if this thing is going to play around in the range today, that could be a good level to keep an eye on. Let's head over to Apple this morning. They have an amazing daily. They're looking to break out here. Had a big day last week, and they have kept up with this pop. So 166 at the moment. Looks like Nvidia is starting to come back up, trying to at least. 166.69 on Apple. That's an area of resistance we had a couple of weeks ago as well. Towards the bottom, we got plenty, guys. Highs and lows for the last 2 trading days. I don't think you need to add anything. And if we look at Apple towards the top here, let's go to the left and look for a level above this 166.69, which is your high of your pre-market. We're going to find something right here at a 168.09, and then slightly above that, we're looking at 169.92. Might actually be 170. But that's Apple there for you guys. Really good daily. That's probably what I like the best about it at the moment. Volume is okay. We'll like to see that pick up if we can. All right, last but not least, we're looking at AMD, and I added this one, just in case it gets going. Pre-market action is starting to pick up now. 900,000 shares traded was a lot less a few minutes ago after 9 o'clock here. Some volume adding to those numbers, making it look even better. So 91.19 high of the pre-market, the low of the pre-market down below the previous day close at 89.78. Obviously, previous day close will be the most important level there for you. And then you're surrounded by the highs and lows of the last 2 trading days. But towards the top, I will know this level here, 91.83. It's a good one. You got a nice area of support happening there on AMD. So there you have it, guys. That is our levels for our watch list today. Let's take a look at what's going on in our room here. Where's our chat room? Here we go. Let's see. Let's take a look at our moderators list. Perfect. Let's bring this over. And as we're doing this, guys, hit that thumbs up over on YouTube. We appreciate it very, very much. We're sitting at, what does it look like today? I haven't looked at the numbers yet. 76. We'll love to get above 250. We got 296 watching, tuned in. So if we can get to 150, that would be pretty incredible. Peter, as I'm doing this, anything you like that has crept up on your list?
Nothing new that we haven't already talked about. I will mention I was doing some research while you were talking to see what was happening on Nvidia. Interestingly, it looks like it was on the options market. There was a number of sort of small money puts, but they all sort of hit at 9 o'clock, and that's what caused that drop. And then and I think it was more of a sympathy drop on AMD since Nvidia was sort of at the top of that range. But
Okay.
which means because the relative volume was low on Nvidia, it had a big impact when those puts came on. So I don't think it's sustainable. I mean, we're already seeing Nvidia start to recover here. So I don't know. It
Yeah.
still looks good for the open for me.
Yeah, no, still looks great. It's actually looking very, very active. And guys, remember, just a quick reminder, on Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, we do have our options chat room that's open with John and I'm sorry, with Jared and Megan. So definitely take a look at that if you're interested in learning how to do options. There's also in our education center, it's a whole section for options. So make sure you take a look at that. All right, let's take a look here, guys, what we have. Let's start with Amen. Amen is starting with Gilead, GILD, very, very risky. Look out for the spread on that stock too. It could be very spready at times. Thor, Bank of America, Nvidia, Apple, and the SPY. And Qs as well. Mike will be looking at Nvidia and Apple. Susan has the Qs overall market there. Coin, secondary list, Amazon and Baba. And here's Brian's list trading live for us this morning with Andrew, Airbnb, Nvidia, Goldman Sachs, Google, Tesla, and maybe PTPI for fun. We'll have to look at that before we hop off here. And then 2 IPOs opening up today. Peter's list, AMD, Nvidia, Bank of America, secondary list, Tesla, Goldman Sachs, and Snap. And Megan will be checking out Microsoft, Baba, and Amazon. So that is our list from our moderators team this morning. Let's take a look at this for fun from our buddy Brian. What's that, PT? What is he looking at here?
PTPI.
Let's take a look at what looks for fun.
He's probably watching that the way I'm watching Snap. I may be a fool for watching Snap, but I'm going to keep an eye on it just in case. Today's the day. PTPI, yes. What's up with that? Oh, it does. Look at that. 2.6 million in volume. It's a pharmaceutical, very low float, 1.4 million shares. Oh, they did Actually, I don't even see any news on it.
Yeah.
I don't know why
Um.
it's
Yeah, I don't see
funds.
anything on it neither. All right, excellent, guys. I think we're all set, my friends. Over on YouTube, thank you so much. I'm gonna do something right here. Okay, excellent, guys. I think we're all set.
Yeah. I think we're good for the day. So have a great trading day, and we will talk to you all tomorrow.
Yeah, absolutely, guys. Take care, guys. Stay safe over on YouTube. Thank you so much. Subscribe if you haven't done so already, and we will see you guys tomorrow, Wednesday. Take care.